Very good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor. Let us start the bulletin with the top headlines. Indian Army destroys 5 Pakistani posts in retaliatory firing across the border in Kashmir. Encounter underway in Shopian between militants and security forces. Even as global community backs Indian Air Force's preemptive strike, a United Nations advises India and Pakistan to exercise maximum restraint. Pressure mounts on Islamabad to take action against terror groups. At the Russia-India-China meet in Wuhan, Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj raises Pulwama attack with her Chinese counterpart. Issue of declaring Masood Azhar as a global terrorist to also figure in the talks. Summit meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un in Hanoi. Denuclearization of Korean Peninsula on agenda. Both sides to review progress after their first meeting in Singapore last summer. And ICC to hold quarterly meeting in Dubai today. Broadcast rights for World Test Championship and capping the participation of players in private T20 leagues. Key issues in the meeting. First, a big story from Jammu and Kashmir, where the Indian Army destroyed 5 Pakistani posts along the line of control on Tuesday night in a befitting retaliation to firing from across the border, resulting in a number of casualties to Pakistani troops along the line of control in Rajouri and Poonch districts. The Pakistan Army initiated unprovoked ceasefire violation by shelling with heavy caliber weaponry along the line of control. The Pak troops have also fired mortars and missiles from civilian houses, using villagers as human shields. And in the exchange of fire, 5 soldiers of the Indian Army suffered minor injuries. Meanwhile, an encounter broke out today between militants and security forces in Shopian district of Jammu and Kashmir. Security forces launched a cordon and search operation in Meemendhar area of Shopian, following information about the presence of militants there. Officials said that the search operation turned into an encounter after the militants opened fire towards the security forces, who later retaliated. There were no reports of any casualties so far in the operation. And Jammu and Kashmir Governor Satyapal Malik reviewed the prevailing law and order situation and the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir with the senior officials following the Indian Air Force's strike against Jaish-e-Mohammed camp inside Pakistan. He directed all the forces to take effective measures to maintain order across the state and asking people to maintain composure. He said that his administration is concerned about their welfare and, if necessary, it would communicate directly with them through radio, television and other means. He urged them to not believe rumors that have been circulating online. The meeting was attended by many senior administration and security officials. Well, 12 days after the Pulwama attack that killed 40 CRPF jawans, Indian Air Force conducted a preemptive strike in Pakistan's Balakot, dropping 1,000 kilograms of bombs with pinpoint accuracy to wipe out the Jaish-e-Mohammed's biggest terror camp in the country. Some of Jaish-e-Mohammed's key operatives are reported to have been killed, including the terror outfit's chief Masood Azhar's brothers. Let's get you more details in this report.
A suicide attack on the CRPF convoy in Jammu and Kashmir. 40 Jawans martyred in the car bomb blast, triggering shock and outrage across the country. The Jaish-e-Mohammed claims responsibility for the attack. One day later, Prime Minister Narendra Modi says the new India knows how to deal with the enemies of the nation.
भारत की ये नीति रही है, हम किसी को छेड़ते नहीं हैं, लेकिन मैं फिर साफ कर दूं कि नए भारत को किसी ने छेड़ा तो वो छोड़ता भी नहीं है। मैं आतंकी संगठनों को और उनके सरपरस्तों को कहना चाहता हूं कि वे बहुत बड़ी गलती कर चुके हैं। बहुत बड़ी कीमत उनको चुकानी पड़ेगी। पुलवामा के गुनहगारों को सजा कैसे दी जाएगी, कहां दी जाएगी, कब दी जाएगी, कौन देगा, किस प्रकार की सजा देगा, ये हमारे जवान तय करेंगे।
"12 days later, India strikes back, wiping out some of Pakistan's biggest terror factories. On Tuesday, 12 Mirage 2000 fighter jets of the Indian Air Force dropped 1,000 kilos of laser-guided bombs on the joint training camps of Jaish and Lashkar with pinpoint accuracy, decimating them altogether. Crossing the line of control and the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, India's fighter jets hit Balakot at around 3:45 a.m. Balakot is located 24 kilometers northwest of Muzaffarabad inside Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province in Pakistan. The non-military preemptive operation ended in just 19 minutes. By then, the Indian Air Force had not only crossed the line of control, but successfully decimated the biggest Jaish camp in Pakistan.
India struck the biggest training camp of the Jaish-e-Mohammed in Balakot. In this operation, a very large number of Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists, trainers, senior commanders, and groups of jihadis who were being trained for Fidaiin action were eliminated. This facility at Balakot was headed by Maulana Yusuf Azhar, alias Ustad Ghori, the brother-in-law of Masood Azhar, chief of the JEM.
The pre-dawn strike killed a large number of Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists who were planning more suicide attacks against India. Key Jaish operatives who were targeted in this airstrike include Maulana Ammar, head of Jaish's Afghanistan and Kashmir operations; Ibrahim Azhar, elder brother of Masood Azhar, who was also involved in the IC-814 hijacking and had a red corner notice by Interpol against him; Maulana Talha Saif, brother of Jaish chief Masood Azhar; and Mufti Azhar Khan Kashmiri, head of Kashmir operations. The Balakot facility was headed by Yusuf Azhar, Masood Azhar's brother-in-law, who is also believed to have been killed in the airstrike.
Credible intelligence was received that the Jaish-e-Mohammed was attempting other suicide terror attacks in various parts of the country, and the Fidaiin jihadis were being trained for this purpose. In the face of imminent danger, a preemptive strike became absolutely necessary.
India has been repeatedly warning Pakistan to act against terror camps on its soil, but Pakistan continues to flip-flop over the issue. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And hours after India conducted a preemptive strike in terror training camp inside Pakistan, United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres said that he is very closely following the situation between India and Pakistan. The United Nations Chief has also appealed to the governments of both the nations to exercise maximum restraint in order to ensure that the situation does not deteriorate further. The international community, led by the United States, also pressed Pakistan to deny safe havens to terror groups operating from its soil and bring the perpetrators of the Pulwama attack to justice. Meanwhile, China also said that it hoped that India and Pakistan will take measures to stabilize the regional situation. China reiterated that both India and Pakistan are important countries in South Asia. It added that maintaining good relations and communication between the two sides is conducive to regional peace and stability.
印度和巴基斯坦都是南亚地区的重要国家，那么双方保持一个良好的关系、良好的沟通，它是有利于南亚地区的和平稳定，从根本上也是符合印度和巴基斯坦双方的利益的。我们希望印巴双方都能保持克制，能够采取有助于稳定地区局势、有助于改善相互关系的举动，而不是相反。
And in addition, France, the UK and Australia have also supported India's preemptive strike on Pakistan. In an official statement, France acknowledged India's legitimacy to ensure its security against cross-border terrorism and has also asked Pakistan to put an end to the operations of terrorist groups established on its territory, while Australia asked Pakistan to take urgent and meaningful action against terrorist groups, including Jaish-e-Mohammed, operating from its soil. And the government has also apprised the envoys of all major countries about its airstrike on the Jaish-e-Mohammed's biggest terror training camp in Pakistan. Foreign Secretary Vijay Gokhale and other secretaries briefed the envoys from as many as 25 countries. These included the ambassadors of the P5 countries, the United States, Russia, China, France and the UK. And in addition, envoys of Sri Lanka, the Maldives, Afghanistan, Bhutan, Turkey and Indonesia were also informed about the pre-dawn airstrikes conducted by the Indian Air Force. And Dean of Diplomatic Corps, Hans Dannenberg Castellanos, who represents more than 150 foreign missions in India, welcomed the swift move by India to inform the representatives of various countries about what happened. He also called the airstrikes very responsible since it targeted only terrorists and not civilians.
We are very satisfied that the Indian government and the Ministry of External Affairs has had such a rapid response in informing the heads of missions about what happened. This is something very good because our capitals are expecting to hear from us. Our capitals are expecting to receive our reports. And the information is that they acted responsibly, that they did not affect any civilian population or any Pakistani military installation, that it was a very directed attack due to credible intelligence received.
We are following very closely the current developments between India and Pakistan. We remain in contact with both countries, and what we believe is essential is that all exercise maximum restraint and avoid further escalation of tensions.
Meanwhile, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj today raised the recent Pulwama suicide attack on the CRPF soldiers in her bilateral meeting with the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in China's Wuhan, a day after India destroyed a major Jaish-e-Mohammed terror training camp in Pakistan. Sushma Swaraj, in her opening remarks during the meeting held on the sidelines of Russia, India, China Foreign Ministers meeting, said that I am visiting China at a time when there is grief and anger in India. It is the worst terrorist attack directed against our security forces in Jammu and Kashmir. She said that the Pulwama attack was carried out by Jaish-e-Mohammed, the Pakistan-based and supported terrorist organization. Stating that the Jaish-e-Mohammed is banned by the United Nations and other countries, Sushma Swaraj told Wang that this terrorist attack is the direct result of the impunity and the cover provided to the Jaish-e-Mohammed and its leaders by the Pakistani side. Sushma Swaraj, who arrived in Wuhan early this morning, told Wang that this is their first meeting this year and therefore an opportune time for the two sides to take stock of the bilateral relations and look ahead for cooperation. Besides the airstrike, the Pulwama terror attack, the issue of declaring Masood Azhar as a global terrorist may also figure in the talks. Sushma Swaraj is in China to attend the annual trilateral meeting of Russia, India and China, or the RIC foreign ministers. Besides attending the trilateral meet, Sushma Swaraj is also expected to hold bilateral meetings with the foreign ministers of both Russia and China.
All of us last met in the RIC Foreign Ministerial meeting in New Delhi on 11 December 2017, where we had an opportunity to engage on international and regional issues of common interest. We had resolved to continue our discussions and strengthen our cooperation in the trilateral format. Since then, our leaders met at the RIC Formal Summit on 30th November 2018 on the margins of the G20 Summit in Buenos Aires, which shows the importance attached by our leaders to the RIC format. Russia, India and China are countries that carry important voices in international politics and have the potential to significantly influence world events. Excellencies, together we can play a constructive role in addressing pressing issues of common concern and challenges facing our world. Terrorism tops the list of the existential threats that the world faces today. You are aware of the recent dastardly terrorist attack on our security forces in Pulwama, Jammu and Kashmir, perpetrated by Jaish-e-Mohammed, a Pakistan-based and supported terrorist organization proscribed by the United Nations and other countries. We lost more than 40 personnel from our Central Reserve Police Force, while several others are injured seriously. Such dastardly terrorist attacks are a grim reminder for the need for all the countries to show zero tolerance to terrorism and take decisive actions against it. Following the Pulwama terrorist attack, instead of taking seriously the calls by international community to act against Jaish-e-Mohammed and other terror groups based in Pakistan, Pakistan denied any knowledge of the attack and outrightly dismissed claims by Jaish-e-Mohammed. In the light of continuing refusal of Pakistan to acknowledge and act against terror groups on its territory, and based on credible information that Jaish-e-Mohammed was planning other attacks in its various parts of India, Government of India decided to take preemptive action. The largest and the target was selected in order to avoid civilian casualties. Excellencies, this was not a military operation. No military installations were targeted. The limited objective of the preemptive strike was to act decisively against the terrorist infrastructure of Jaish-e-Mohammed in order to preempt another terror attack in India. India does not wish to see further escalation of the situation. India will continue to act with responsibility and restraint. Excellencies, in our discussions today, I look forward to having productive exchanges with you on other important issues such as climate change, reformed multilateralism, RIC cooperation under the framework of international organizations, and international hotspot issues. I believe the Wuchen meeting of RIC will positively contribute to the ongoing global discussions on a host of issues. Thank you, Excellencies.
Well, our colleague Akhilesh Suman is joining us live from New Delhi for more on the aftermath of the Balakot airstrikes. A very good morning, Akhilesh. Speaking first about the situation along the line of control, of course, the schools in Jammu town have been closed due to firing at LOC. And, Pakistan has warned of surprise. In fact, yesterday, Pakistani Prime Minister called a meeting of the National Command Authority, which is also the country's nuke authority. So how do you look at the situation after the Indian Air Force's Balakot airstrike?
One of the major, diplomats, who is Hussain Haqqani, who is a former, ambassador of Pakistan and living in America, he said that Pakistan got no support from any corner of the world for after this attack on Jaish-e-Mohammed, base. So you can understand that the world community is not for any sort of terrorism in the whole region and in the whole world. And Pakistan seems to be totally isolated. In National Assembly yesterday also there was shame against Imran Khan. The whole adventurism that has taken place in Pulwama is being condemned by everyone in the world. And after this, when India targeted attack on the terrorist camp in, Balakot, many of the countries are coming forward and condemning the acts of terrorism that is being perpetrated by Pakistan time and again. So it is a wake-up call for Pakistan that they should mend their ways. Otherwise, that the type of preemptive strike India has taken, you might be hearing Sushma Swaraj who told that, this was a targeted attack on the terrorist camp. No civilians were hurt. Yes. And India has acted responsibly. So these three things shows that India is responsibly acting against terrorism. And when she is in RIC today, in RIC she is trying to persuade China, especially China that tries to show affinity with Pakistan for various issues, including Mr. Masood Azhar. So, India's whole effort is to contain Pakistan's terrorist activities and to destroy the whole, infrastructure of terrorism that is existing inside Pakistan. And, the world is coming forward again and again and telling Pakistan to curb terrorism, but they are also cautioning that there should be no escalation. India is not going to escalate because India has destroyed one terrorist camp. If something else happens, then it will be, the reply will be given. But now it is time for Pakistan to understand that this type of, misadventure should not take place. And they should activate their machinery to block all acts of terrorism that is existing inside Pakistan. They should discourage all elements of terrorism that are existing in Pakistan. And also they should create a situation when the talks on Kartarpur corridor had started, and after that talks, when the Kartarpur corridor was going to be established, this misadventure happened in Pulwama. So now it is up to Pakistan that how they respond. But world community has said that you should stop these type of acts of terrorism, and world community is also telling that you should keep restraint. And yesterday when all party meeting was happened, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj informed that she has contacted almost all big powers in the world, and she had informed about the situation in the whole region.
Yes.
And she also talked to US Secretary of State Mr. Pompeo. Okay. So every country is well aware of India's stand, that India is responsibly acting against terrorism.
Yes.
And I think that today onwards some more statements and more clarifications will start coming from different parts of the world, that how they want to cooperate with each other and among themselves, so that the acts of terrorism can be stopped. And a very important statement came from UK. UK showed that we will be working with our friends in the world to stop the menace of terrorism. So
yes,
every country is feeling the pinch of terrorism on their soil some way or other. So now it is China is there in RIC today, and I think that China will also understand the pressure from the world, and China will stop supporting Pakistan on Masood Azhar, and also China will pressurize Pakistan to dismantle the whole framework of terrorism that they have created inside their country.
Right,
so I think let us wait and see that how things go on. But immediate question is for Pakistan, that they should stop further escalation. The way Imran Khan had taken meeting yesterday, the way whole Pakistani establishment was in jittery yesterday, that how this thing happened, they should understand that if they continue with this type of acts against India, they will get befitting reply time and again. So let us see that how things happen. But India is on quite alert. All forces are on alert, and they have been told to be in preparedness mode all the time. So though Pakistan will not dare, but all party meeting, all parties also told
India is on
Sushma
high
Swaraj
alert at the same time.
And
of course, the RIC meeting, of course, coming in the backdrop of the Balakot attack, Akhilesh.
Yeah.
And of course, it will be interesting to see how China really reacts on the issue of declaring Masood Azhar as a global terrorist, because so far it has been blocking India's efforts to do the same. However, Sushma Swaraj, of course, has spoken to the Chinese foreign minister. We'll have to wait and watch, however, how that issue really pans out in the days to come. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all those updates there from New Delhi. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, the Election Commission is keeping a tab on developments in the country post the Pulwama terror attack and the government response to it in the form of airstrikes. Election Commission said that the EC is duty-bound to carry out the mandate given to it by the Constitution. The press meet was held hours after the Indian Air Force conducted airstrikes against terror camps in Pakistan. And hours after the airstrike in Balakot, the government also convened an all-party meeting in New Delhi. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj apprised the leaders of all political parties about the non-military preemptive strike that destroyed a Jaish-e-Mohammed terror camp in Balakot. The government also told leaders that this was not an attack to initiate war against Pakistan, underlining that if the neighbor had taken action against Jaish-e-Mohammed, India would not have carried out the offensive. Leaders cutting across party lines appreciated the strikes carried out successfully by the Indian Air Force.
मुझे खुशी है कि सभी प्रतिनिधियों ने एक स्वर में पहले भारतीय वायुसेना को बधाई दी, फिर सरकार द्वारा किए गए किसी भी आतंक विरोधी कार्रवाई के लिए हमेशा समर्थन देने का आश्वासन दिलाया और पक्ष और विपक्ष का भेद किए बिना एकजुटता का प्रदर्शन किया।
टेररिस्ट कैंप जो पाकिस्तान के द्वारा में था उसको ध्वस्त किया, जहां टेररिस्ट ट्रेनिंग देते थे और जहां से फिदायीन अटैक होते थे। कैंप को खत्म करने के लिए जो भी प्रयास किया और जो भी एक्शन लिया उसकी हमने सराहना की है अपने एयरफोर्स के साथ और हमारा पूरा बराबर समर्थन रहेगा अपने सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस को।
All right, let's get you some other news now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will give away the National Youth Parliament Festival 2019 awards in New Delhi. Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Rajya had launched the festival on the 12th of last month to encourage the youth to engage with the public issues and understand the common man's point of view. More than 50,000 youth participated through youth parliaments at all levels. The national level finals of the festival concluded yesterday with the announcement of winners. The National Youth Parliament Festival 2019 has been jointly organized by National Service Scheme and Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathan under the aegis of Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports on the theme of the voice of New India and find solutions and contribute to policy. 56 final contestants were selected for National Youth Parliament. The top international focus, the US President Donald Trump is in Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, for the second summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The two leaders will have several rounds of discussion aimed at normalizing ties and complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Before his departure, Donald Trump had tweeted that he was looking forward to a very productive second summit. Remember, the talks come 8 months after the historic summit in Singapore last year in the month of June, which was the first between a sitting US president and a North Korean leader. The denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula and ending international sanctions against Pyongyang are expected to be the main items on the agenda this time. Sports news, the International Cricket Council will hold its quarterly meeting in Dubai today. Tax exemptions for future global events, broadcasting rights for the World Test Championship and capping participation in private T20 leagues will be the key issues that will come up for discussion at the meeting. There are a number of meetings lined up and beginning with the ICC Chief Executives Committee meeting where India will be represented by BCCI CEO Rahul Johri and ending with the board meeting where Acting Secretary Amitabh Chaudhary will be present. And one of the key issues will be the tax exemption sought by the ICC for future global events in India like the 2021 World T20 and the 2023 World Cup. However, as per present rules, it is highly unlikely that the ICC will get any exemption and the deadlock is expected to continue. However, if reports are to be believed, ICC is unlikely to even discuss the possibility of boycotting Pakistan from the upcoming World Cup, as it is reportedly not a feasible option. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely day ahead.